Greetings, my name is Cody, and today I'll be presenting on assets, threats, and vulnerability controls, which are core concepts in cybersecurity and risk management. These concepts help organizations understand what they need to protect what could harm those assets and how to reduce the overall risk in a structured and effective way. Risk management is the process of determining which risks matter most to an organization. This is based on the value of assets and the potential business impact if those assets are compromised. A key concept here is that risk is the combination of a threat and a vulnerability. A threat is something that could cause harm, like a hacker or malware, while a vulnerability is a weakness that can be exploited. If one of these is missing, there is no real risk. For example, a vulnerability with no threat targeting it is less concerning, and a threat with no vulnerability cannot succeed. This is why organizations focus on identifying both elements when evaluating risk. Once risks are identified, organizations perform a risk assessment. This involves evaluating two main factors. The first is likelihood, how probable the risk is, and the second is impact, how severe consequences would be. These risks are then ranked to support the decision-making process. Organizations have four main options for responding to risk. That includes mitigate, reducing the risk through controls; to avoid, eliminate the activity causing the risk; to transfer, which means to shift the risk, often through insurance; or to accept the risk, which is acknowledging the risk without taking any action. An important point is that risk assessments do not need to be perfectly accurate. They need to be consistent and repeatable so organizations can make informed decisions over time. Security controls are safeguards used to reduce either the likelihood or impact of a risk. There are three main types. Administrative controls include policies, procedures, and training. Technical controls include firewalls, encryption, and access controls. Physical controls include locks, cameras, and facility security. Effective controls must align with cost-benefit analysis. In other words, the cost of implementing a control should not exceed the value of the asset being protected. Controls should also provide measurable protection, meaning organizations can evaluate how well they are reducing risk. This is critical for continuous improvement and compliance. Asset classification is the process of categorizing data based on its sensitivity and importance. Common classification levels might include public, which is data that causes no damage; internal, which is only for staff use; confidential, which requires authentication to access; and highly sensitive, which causes severe, catastrophic, or even legal damage if breached. This classification determines how data should be protected. For example, highly sensitive data may require encryption and strict access controls, while public data may not need much protection. One key challenge is avoiding overclassification or underclassification. Overprotecting data wastes resources, while underprotecting it increases risk. Proper classification helps organizations apply the right level of security controls efficiently. Secure provisioning focuses on setting up systems and data securely from the beginning. This includes applying appropriate security configurations, access controls, and data handling requirements during deployment. Tools like data loss prevention and data labeling are often used to enforce policies. The goal is to ensure consistency so that security is built into systems from the start rather than added later. This reduces the likelihood of misconfigurations, which are one of the leading causes of security breaches today. And finally, compliance ensures that organizations follow legal, regulatory, and contractual requirements. This can include laws like the GDPR, HIPAA, or industry-specific regulations. To achieve compliance, organizations must align their security controls with these requirements. This also involves maintaining documentation, performing audits, and demonstrating that controls are working effectively. Compliance isn't just about avoiding penalties; it also improves the overall security posture and builds trust with customers and stakeholders. A strong, compliant program integrates administrative, technical, and physical controls into one unified framework. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you so very much for watching.